Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast, your favorite games podcast. My name is Kerry Palmer, and joining me is Jeremy Bratatich.
Hello. I just realized that there's a plant behind me in full frame, which is fucking dead, and got a giant light on it.
Look at this plant. Yeah. Look at these twigs.
I put it there to get more sun, and it hasn't revived itself yet, so I'm not too sure what's going on with it.
Jeremy, here's a question. Have you given it any water?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Okay, good. Just because from the only description that we had was like, I tried to give it more sun, but it didn't work. I'm not sure what's going on. I just like the idea you just like move it around the house, but never feed it anything. Never give it any water, and you're like, why is it dying?
Yeah.
How are you, Jeremy?
I'm good. I've been exploring various realms lately in...
Like 2018's God of War?
No, more like 2002's Second Life.
Is it really that old?
Oh, that game is ancient. That game is really old. I'm not 100% sure when it came out. Second Life. 2003.
By extension, sorry, I feel 2003. Like you 2003. Sorry. Okay. There's a little erroneous there, Jeremy, but I'll forgive it.
Yeah.
I feel like in the same vein, you should also be playing RuneScape.
Yeah, not quite, but like, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Everyone, this is the MiniMapCast. Thanks for joining us, however you're joining us. You will have noticed, perhaps, that last week we didn't have an episode out. I was sick, but I'd been sick the week before, and I was kind of coming good the Monday, and we tried to make it work later in the week, and we never ended up making it work, so we didn't mention it because we thought we might get something out on the Friday or the Saturday. It didn't happen, so here we are.
There were multiple days where we tried, and the stars just did not align.
No, they did not align at all. Jeremy's house sprung multiple leaks on the weekend.
Just the fucking worst.
So here we are. We're back. Fear not. If you were afraid, do not be. We are back. You can stop being afraid. Let's get on with the rigmarole, shall we? Thank you for joining us. As always, it's great to have you here. You could join us every week on any podcast platform of your choice, or you can watch us. Oh my goodness, my face! I just made the script full screen, and it just
yeah, no, nothing's bright like that.
I need there's no dark mode on the browser version, is there?
No, that is an app only thing, which is annoying because the app has got a memory.
That kind of makes me want to like turn inverted colors on my screen, so it just doesn't annihilate me. All right, here we go. Take two. You can catch us every week on any podcast platform of your choice, or you can watch us on YouTube or on Twitch as we record the show live. If you like what you're hearing, please give the show a positive rating wherever you are listening to us. And if you want to join us as we record the show, we are live every Monday, except for last week, 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or Daylight Time, whichever one it is, at twitch.tv/MiniMapAU, or from our YouTube channel as well. That's MiniMapAU. Best way to find that channel is to go through our website, find the associated videos on our posts, and you can find the YouTube channel that way. Before, during, and after the show, we do hang out with Twitch chat, which is always a good time. We'd love it if you joined us there for it. We can chat about the cats. I showed off my cat before, who's just behind me. We heard about someone's cat in chat by the name of Suvi, who's watching the show. Hi, Suvi. It's awesome to hang out and chat with everybody. So if you're free and you're here when we're live, I highly recommend it. Be sure to keep up to date with us when we post a new episode or anything else happens for minimap.com.au. You can do that obviously by going to the website, or you can follow our social accounts. That's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch accounts, all under MiniMapAU. That's the letters AU, not spelled out like AU. For example, it's a good way to know. That's a good one, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's a good way to know what the topic of the show is going to be each week. Last week for episode 117, or 2 weeks ago now, we covered all of the mainline Halo games and we ranked them, which was a really fun time. A long episode, turns out. We could have done a whole episode just on the rankings. But that was a really fun one. Next week, we're looking at doing something that Jeremy's had in the hopper for a while, which is a Metaverse deep dive, a sort of a lay of the land of what the Metaverse has to offer the end user in 2022.
Yeah, I had a pitch for it, which I wrote at the beginning of it.
Okay.
It was, what the fuck even is the Metaverse?
Good pitch.
Yeah, it was basically like, is there really anything here? Is basically what it was. Like, is there anything that is nice?
Right, okay. Is there any merit to the Metaverse as it stands?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So that's coming up next week. I'm looking forward to that. That's Jeremy's baby, that project. So I'm really interested to see what he's been putting together for it. But today we are going to be talking about the best Nintendo DS games. I don't know if that's going to be a ranking or just these are our top 3, but we're going to be talking about them. Probably going to hear stuff about Nintendogs, Brain Age, like probably not. What was the Metroid Prime game that came out at launch? Bounty Hunters or something? Not Federation.
Federation Force?
No. There was one it was a Metroid Prime game. I think it was Metroid Prime Hunters. I had a demo cartridge. I got a cartridge that was just a demo for that game.
Yeah, right.
That game was scary. So that's what we're doing today. We also wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the MiniMapCast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. Lastly, if you want to help keep the lights and mics on, you can throw $5 our way and become one of our patrons. That's at patreon.com/minimapau. It helps us continue to do this. You can ask us questions to answer on the podcast, and it's as cheap as a latte with oat milk. Once again, that is patreon.com/minimapau if you want to support us monetarily.
Something wrong.
What's that face, Braditich? What's the problem?
My hair's slowly turning into the Doc from Back to the Future.
Your hair's turning into so because of your hair, you think you're looking more and more like Doc Brown.
It's very every direction at the moment.
A little wispy.
Well, it's every because it's too long and it doesn't stay together currently anymore. I think I'm gonna get a haircut tomorrow. Actually, it's just all fucked. Look how fucking far back that's going, and this is poking out, and it's up here, and it's over there, and bloody nonsense.
Doesn't know whether it's up or down.
It's got no idea what to do.
Doesn't know it's left from right.
Not even.
Well, it still looks good, Jeremy. I'm still enjoying being surprised every time I see you on camera. I'm like, you're blonde!
So I'm gonna get it cut tomorrow, and I'm gonna get him to cut it an inch before the blonde ends.
Yeah.
So I'll have a little bit of frosted tips for a little bit, and if I hate it, I'm just gonna shave it completely.
A full inch below that.
Oh, maybe like a couple of centimeters.
Couple of centimeters? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Just realizing I didn't start my timer. I reckon we're about 9 minutes in, maybe.
I reckon so.
Jeremy.
Kerry.
We didn't really think about this. We thought about starting the episode with the games that I've been playing this week, but we thought it might be good if we spoke about games that came out this decade, rather games that came out when I was 7. So, Jeremy, why don't you start us off with Cult of the Lamb?
Sure. So I've been playing Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb is
Melbourne-made game.
Melbourne-made game. I went to the launch party, which was pretty neat. On Friday. Turns out
made by Massive Monster, right?
Yes, Massive Monster. They made Adventure Pals, if you know of that game.
Googling.
As it turns out, Kerry, there is more than one Acme in Melbourne. I didn't know this. I went to the wrong one. So, Cult of the Lamb is a top-down it's not isometric, but it's a top-down,
like tilt shift almost.
Yeah, like tilted angle, but like 2D characters, like Binding of Isaac, for example, or like Castle Crashers, where you are a lamb who was killed and sacrificed, and then the devil god, whatever it is.
The one who waits, I think.
Yes. Basically says, hey, guess what, lamb? You're going to be my lamb, and you're going to start a cult in my name and take revenge against the ones that are imprisoning me here for funny-looking, villainous devils.
Kind of insecty things.
Yeah. And it is a roguelike where you go through dungeons and you are collecting materials and defeating enemies and getting different weapons and getting a different like special ability that is crossed with a little cult simulator thing where you can find followers in the dungeons and you bring them back and then you get them to work for your cult by making them build things or making them worship the devil that you're worshipping or making them chop down wood or mine stone or farm. And so you'd play in these two different games which are feeding into each other. The gameplay is interesting because it is very Hades. Where it is very basic. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. It's very Hades if Hades was only melee weapons, where you are just swords, hammers, which are slow swords, or daggers, which are fast swords. There's no like bow and arrow. There's no throw the shield or anything like that. It is just whack. As far as I'm aware. I've not found any other weapons.
The arenas are pretty tight. They're pretty contained.
Yeah. Like
so
that
makes sense.
They are small. And then you've got this other ability, which is like similar to that thing that you throw out in Hades, the whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh, that red thing.
Yeah, the red diamond thing. You've got an ability like that, which might be like a short little like stomp, or it might be a throw the one thing out, or it might be shoot a beam across, and it's a bit longer. Very basic stuff. Look, the gameplay is not Hades like caliber. It's not trying to be. But don't go in this expecting like another Hades. It's going to be the most amazing feeling game. It's fine. The gameplay is fine. The actual aesthetic of the game, I think, is its strongest aspect. The animations are stellar. They are really, really, really good. They are this quick, like really intense animations of, you are this cute little lamb that's wandering around, and then like a red,
smiling at everything.
Yeah, smiling at everything, and then like a beam will shoot across the entire screen, and then your eyes will turn red, and there'll be this white beam in the middle. It's a very animated game. The effects are really good, and like the actual character animations are really fun. The enemies are quite neat as well. And the worlds are really cool. Like it's all this like gothic, foresty kind of areas. There are other biomes. I'm still only in the first chunk. My cult is cult level 2 currently. And then there's the simulation aspect. I don't love this game, and I really want to. I like it, but I really don't love it. I think that the two games either don't feed into each other enough or are not separate enough. They're in this awkward, like they are directly related, but I don't feel like I'm specifically doing anything for my cult aside from collecting a broad range of everything when I go on runs. Like I'm still early, but like I haven't felt that. Like I'm doing the first boss of the 4, I assume, maybe 5 if there's a final one after, which I'm assuming there is. But the cult farming stuff is just like it's not quite clean. It's largely autonomous, but I would rather either something more hands-on to do or something even way less. Give me the don't starve, I think, formula is what I actually want. This game borrows a lot of that in terms of like it's the same animated style. It is base building similar to Don't Starve, except this is obviously this is on a grid and there's no violence happening at your base. But I don't know, it's just missing something, and I'm not loving it, and I'm not happy that I'm not loving it because I really want to love it. Because the rest of the game is so good, it's so put together. The combat is fine. It's fine. Maybe this should have been either 2 games or make both of them better. Neither of them are top tier. This together they're good, but they're not. They don't elevate each other to be like a more than sum of their parts. They are exactly the sum of their parts,
and they feel a bit separate, I guess, from what you're saying. They link in with each other, but they don't elevate each other.
Yeah, I think. Like there are things that they link into each other. For example, like if I find someone who I can bring into my cult while I'm out there, I will remember them when they come back, and I will be like, "Oh, I remember you from Thingo." And then you can also, when you bring an animal into your cult, you can immediately change what they look like and everything like instantly. So it sort of defeats the purpose of like me finding people. Like you might as well just give me a piece of paper saying, "Hey, new cult member," because I can just change what they look like immediately.
Like they're like if they're a horse, you can turn them into a zebra or a cat.
Yeah. Like you can change their entire form. You can name them. They all have pre-populated names, or you can name them. I've been calling every single one of my cult members Greg because I think that's funny.
I think that is funny.
Yeah.
Are you worried, Jeremy, that there is perhaps a difficulty in individualization?
So
there is a lack thereof.
I didn't think about that until it started to say like, "Hey, do you want to assign this bed to Greg or Greg or Greg or Greg or Greg?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And it's so like funny. Greg is starving, or like, "Hey, deliver this to Greg." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, man." The actual location, the actual area you can play in for your to build your cult it feels quite small. You know how when you walk around a farm in Stardew Valley, it feels big in comparison to your player. You've got a ton of space. You don't fill up that space quickly. This is obviously a shorter game than Stardew Valley, but I feel like I'm going to hit those edges maybe sooner rather than later. That's unless they introduce a way where you don't even need to use all of it to sort of max out everything, which is probably for the best. You can name your cult. I called my cult a Web3.
Very good.
Because that's a cult.
It's very good, Jeremy.
Thank you. Just let that one stew for a little bit.
I know people who use subtext.
Yeah, they're cowards.
They're all cowards.
Yeah, look, I think this game is good. I just don't love it. And I really want to, and maybe I will. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm not planning on stopping.
So you said you're early and stuff like that. How many hours do you think you've put in?
I've probably only put in about 3 or 4.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more. It's hard to tell because I've been playing it on Switch.
Yeah. I've played the demo.
Yeah.
So I could speak to how the combat feels and how the very, very, very surface level of the cult stuff feels, but like that's about it. But something interesting, I was listening to Kind of Funny's review earlier today.
Another Greg.
Another Greg, that's right, another 2 Gregs. Something that Greg was saying is that your
Greg or Greg.
He was saying that you're not building a village. These cultists aren't your family; they're your cattle.
Yes, and I'm now up to the point where they are explicitly becoming expendable, and I'm to start sacrificing them.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe like I think that will be interesting, and I have a feeling that's going to change my feelings on the actual like management of the cult, which I think is probably good, but I think I needed that earlier.
Okay.
Because I am also building up loyalty for these cult members, where I will do quests for them, and I will make sure they are fed and make sure I'm cleaning up after them, and I am also working for them.
Yeah.
Which is not how cults work. By the way.
Is it how the start of a cult works, though? You know what I mean? Is it that, like, sort of being effusive and being generous? You know what I mean? Are they trying to?
I think
lean
it's always
into
got to be.
that-
It's always about
the life cycle of a cult.
I think it's always about serving, though, isn't it? Isn't that sort of the point?
Yeah, but how do you get people to do that when it's just you and like 4 other people? Like, you can't just be a dick because they're gonna leave.
Yeah, no, like I get it. But I think that maybe they should have got across earlier that, like, hey, don't form attachments. Because they're all cute animals.
They are really cute.
They have
animals.
names, Kerry.
They have names. Oh my god. I gotta go back and listen to that episode.
Fuck, that was so funny. If anyone who
From
isn't
the
aware,
poor zoo, the poor rabbits.
there was an episode of the podcast where I spoke about my time in Let's Build a Zoo.
Yeah.
And I had hamsters that were breeding and dying at a cascading rate, at a explosive rate, and I realized at the end that the zookeepers weren't going in and cleaning them out, and then I found a tab, and every single one of those hamsters had names.
Your abject horror at this realization.
I was
very funny.
crying when I found that. That was such a good laugh.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Greg said the same, where he was like, oh, I was naming them, like, I named this one after my wife, and I named this one Blessing, I named this one Andy, and I named this one Andrew Golf Club. And then he said after a while, like, it's like on a farm, like, you don't name the chicken that you're going to kill and eat for dinner in a month anything, because it's for food. You don't, like, you don't name your livestock, because, like, you gotta kill them. And then, like, that's how this cult simulator turns.
Yeah. I don't.
It does sound like that's
thing.
the real meat of the simulation stuff. And so yeah, I can see if you're not biting into it, getting to that. I wonder if that does change it for you at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to play more, but it's a weird mix. So
Yeah. Great to see a local game get such good recognition.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we've seen that since, like, Florence, in a way. Like, on this level.
Yeah. It's hard, right? Because there are other games that do pretty well, but in different ways. You know, like Frog Detective always does
different
well
pockets.
enough.
Yeah.
You know, Umurangi did quite well as well, but in a not commercial, but in a critical way.
Was that Melbourne based?
I believe so, or Australian at least.
Not made in New Zealand?
No, Australian.
Okay.
I think Vess is in Australia.
I'm on it.
Anyway,
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you got to play it.
yeah, no, I'm continuing to play it. I kind of wish I bought it on PC only because it's a little bit hitchy sometimes on Switch.
Oh, right.
Not often and never in combat. But like it's like in between loading like areas and stuff. Like when it loads in, it'll sort of hitch for a second here and there, and it runs at I think it's running at an inconsistent 30 to 50. And it's just I would have
Sort of
rather
up and down.
I would have rather played it on at a consistent 60.
Yep. Yeah, I more and more I'm feeling like the Switch is no longer up to task.
Yeah.
It's tricky because it seems like they really want to run it for a while longer, and like,
Oh, if you
know,
believe the new reports, which I mean, I do because as far as I'm aware, the old ones were still correct as well.
yeah,
There will be new hardware by the end of next year.
yeah, end of next year. Yeah. Not finding anything about where these people are based. Video game developer located in Australia. Okay, well, there's that much at least. That's fine. You've also been playing a couple of other things, Jeremy. These are all on Switch. You've only been playing Switch.
I played 2 Switch games. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I also played Apex this week. I don't really want to... Do we want to talk about Apex?
Nah.
I don't know. We've done it a bunch.
Yeah, nah. I've been playing Live Alive.
Mm-hmm. You were excited for that before it came out.
I was, and it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah?
Live Alive is fucking gorgeous. Like the
that HD 2D.
That HD 2D that they've got going on. The shaders they've got on the trees in Live Alive. It's a really good looking game. It's a really, really good looking game. What a good way to elevate the previous art style without replacing it, but like just making it better.
Yeah.
It's fucking
For those
awesome.
who don't know, Live Alive was like an SNES game, I think, that never came to the West.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a JRPG, and it's been brought to the Switch with that art style that you see from Octopath Traveler, where you've got 2D pixel art assets, but sort of in like a 3D world with like realistic lighting effects. So these characters cast shadows, and there's gorgeous like lantern light and dappled light from the trees, like you were saying. So,
and like there's like a much more readable menus and flashier effects going on as well. But the actual gameplay of Live Alive is it's a tactics-ish, similar to what's that game that was meant to come out and then like the day before it got like
Advance Wars?
Advance Wars. It's kind of like Advance Wars.
Right.
Kind of like
Advance Wars, Fire Emblem,
Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except Live Alive is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, really? 1, 2, 3,
7,
4,
I thought.
5, 6, 7, 8. 8, I'm seeing here on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Yeah, I counted it 4 times just to make sure. Mini stories.
Little vignettes.
Yeah, but some of them are kind of long. Like some of them you can do in 90 minutes, but some of them you like 6-hour games. Wow. Where it is basically the same, like the same core combat and RPG like structure, but they all each have an additional twist to them. I've only been playing one of them. I accidentally started the longest one,
Right.
or one of the longest ones, which is the near future is the one that I've started, where you play as an orphan named Akira, in pursuit of a biker gang, which I don't know. You haven't seen the movie Akira, Kerry, but it is.
No, I haven't.
Turns out it's just that, which is good because it's a good story and a good movie.
Right.
Kinda. It's very funny. The opening text is like, like he wants to, save revenge his father's death against the biker gang called the Crusaders, and then try and summon the mech Steel Titan or something like that. It's like this personal story about an orphan and then giant mech thrown in, which was very funny. The music is really quite good. The combat is really fun. This is an old RPG. If you have ever played one of those old RPGs, it is one of those. Do not go in expecting a new one because you will not get it. Some of the times it is obtuse in terms of it wants you to do things in exactly the order it is programmed in, and occasionally I'm sitting here going, I've spoken to everybody, but they won't let me leave the room. What the fuck am I meant to do?
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool. The dialogue is quite good, and it's quick and it's sharp and it's to the point, and it's like watching a Saturday morning cartoon. There's very little fluff, but what is there feels like a filler episode of an anime, but that's fine because these games aren't super long anyway. I was reading through the names of the scenarios, Kerry. Are you aware of what they are? Because I'm going to read them out to you because they are very funny.
I know there's like a Western, and there's an actual future one, and
Yeah. So they start.
There's like a caveman one.
So on the menu, they start you off with present day.
Yep.
And then if you go on, it's like near future, distant future. And then there's the Middle Ages. There is the Wild West. There is prehistory. There is Imperial China. And then the Twilight of Edo, Japan.
Wow. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like, distant future. And then very specifically this moment in Japanese history,
Yes.
which made me laugh quite a bit as well. It's a cool game. It's surprisingly fresh.
Considering it's a 30-year-old game, that is surprising.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like, when you play one of those old games and it's like, it turns out that this is probably just going to be timeless. It kind of feels like one of those where it's like, like they put it together really well the first time that it's just going to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the new coat of paint is just like really, really good.
Great. I was going to ask you like what's your overall thingy on it, but I feel like that's hard to ask with this game until you've actually experienced like at least 4 or 5 of the scenarios.
Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't start playing. I kind of wish I looked up which one was the shortest ones first, because I wanted to play a couple of them before I spoke about it, but it's been 2 weeks now that I needed to at least start to get it out there a little bit in terms of my feelings.
That is funny because it came out and I knew you wanted to play it, and I just every time forgot to mention it to you. I meant to be like, oh, what's up with Live? You playing that? But I didn't realize you'd been plugging away at it this whole time.
Oh no, so I didn't get it on launch. Because I forgot that it came out. And then I had it in my Amazon cart for like a week. And I kept on forgetting to just bring it to the purchase thing. And then I'm going to work. I'm like, oh, Live comes today. And then I'm like, I didn't get an email about it or like a notification. And I check Amazon, like, still in your cart. I'm like, oh, I forgot. And then after that, just I get to buy it. Just didn't
That's
fix the problem.
X.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll be keen to hear what your overall impression of it is once you've gotten it through more scenarios through.
Are you interested in it?
Yes and no. Having just recently finished Persona.
Yeah, fair. Don't want to immediately just jump into another one.
Yeah.
Another 8.
Also, I'm playing Final Fantasy X. like I remember saying earlier in the year, I'm playing a lot of JRPGs. Maybe I shouldn't do that so much, but I just can't keep away from them right now. It's really weird. But at the same time, it is hard to sign up for a new property that I know is going to be dozens of hours that is in that same JRPG style. So I probably won't get to it for a while, which means I probably won't maybe get to it ever. But that's not the biggest deal. I'm happy with what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, fair.
I like the idea of it though. I like the premise.
Yeah, no,
I like thinking of the alternate reality where Kerry did get to play it.
Yeah. Just imagine the picture of Lionel Hutz in The Simpsons, and he's like terrified of the thought that's in his head, and it's like kids prancing around the paddock and in the flowers.
Jeremy, would it surprise you to know that I don't remember that reference?
Yeah, I started it, and I'm like, Kerry doesn't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. It's really weird. I've seen a lot of The Simpsons. I've rewatched a lot of The Simpsons.
Yeah,
there's
right.
stuff that I do get from it, but like none of it is seared into my brain the way it is with so many of my friends. So they just say this thing and they're like, "Oh, it's from The Simpsons." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I don't know. Okay."
Yeah, I don't know how it didn't. Excuse me. I don't know how it didn't stay.
Neither do I. Like maybe I was too young. How young were you when you were watching The Simpsons?
Younger than you.
You don't know that.
Yeah, but if you've seen it again...
I have. I watched it when I was like 16.
Yeah. I was younger than that when I started watching The Simpsons.
I mean, me too. It was on telly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mario Kart.
Let's talk about Mario Kart.
Booster Pack Wave 2 has released. That's 8 new courses again, for a total of 16 new courses since the DLC was announced and started rolling out. I spoke about the first wave when that came out. You hadn't played any of them yet, but last week we played through all of them. All 16 of the new tracks so far. What did you think of them, Jeremy?
Oh, they're really good.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart Tour tracks are really fun, and they're really pretty. They've got really like neat designs. They're not like I'm playing these goes like, oh, these are not bullshit tracks. Like, not that I expected them to be, but like they're adding good tracks.
Totally.
And it's fun to have an entire host of locations which are real world, which are being brought into this game.
Especially an Australian location so soon, like
Sydney. That's fun.
Driving through the Opera House,
and
then flying back into it from the other direction later on during the course. That turns out that's really silly and fun.
Yeah, they're really creative maps, and it reminds me of when the Master Chief Collection began to add maps from the Halo Online game that was short-lived in some regions only. This sort of feels like that, where like they're like, hey, like we've got this good quality content that's stuck behind a game that is not very good. Let's bring it into the game that everyone loves so that they can enjoy it. How'd you feel about them?
I came away from the first wave really positively. Seeing how they redesigned some of the N64 maps to modernize them a bit. Like Choco Mountain is just it's a nightmare to play on the 64, and it's just not a nightmare on the
it's
Switch.
delightful,
it's
isn't
fun
it?
To play.
It was really pretty, and they added a train.
Oh, that's in the desert, yeah. Yeah. So that's the other N64 course. Do you remember my delight when on the third lap the course redirects you, so you're going through the tunnel that's going through the middle of the map rather than around the edge of the course, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. My little because Mario Kart 64 is one of the first games I ever played. Like between that and Ocarina of Time and Diddy Kong Racing, those are like the three that I played because my brother was playing them with his friends, and like those maps being different and surprising me is so special.
Yes.
It's I don't know, it was great, but also like some of the other courses that I'm less familiar with, like the Waluigi Pinball that everyone was really happy about being there. That's from the DS game. I don't remember it, but them playing it, you're going down the main course of the actual pinball machine, and there's these pinballs flying around that are like much bigger than your kart, and you're like, whoa. Like, it's really fun. I honestly think that the weakest map, or the strangest, most different kind of strangest map, was that one that was quote unquote new, but is actually just a Mario Kart Tour map that hasn't made it into that game yet, but it's coming later, but made it into this one first. The like Sunday Mountain thing, the ice cream one. We spend a lot of time like floating in the air in that one, like doing weird like half gravity jumps.
I quite liked that one, but I think it needed a little bit more Mario Kart 8 work. Like, give me like an upside down section to make me feel like I'm not just bouncing. Like, give me some anti-grav in there.
Yeah, and something that the other tour courses have been really good at are the different, like, when you're doing the Paris map, you kind of do it twice, but then on the third go, you immediately get turned around and you almost immediately start doing the course backwards. And I think every course has that variation where
Sydney
instead
does.
This way where you went left, now you're going right this lap. And that changes it for the better each time. And this new course just didn't have that. So it did feel a bit straight ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. Mario Kart 8 is fantastic.
It is. It's
Turns
great.
out.
Turns out it's one of the best games Nintendo maybe have made.
Yep. And there
were no complaints about this game.
Yeah, definitely. Unless you only own the Wii U version, those people are a little miffed. But
that game is great.
It is great.
That was also that's maybe the best looking Wii U game.
Maybe.
I can't
Maybe.
think.
I don't know. There were some good ones there.
Oh yeah, but like that one, I always remembered from the day it came out. I was like, wow, this looks good. That was the only game I think where I was like, fuck, I really wish I had a Wii U.
Yeah, I felt that way about I feel that way about the Switch too, as well, in terms of how the graphics look on it. Like, it is one of the best looking games on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's kind of baffling when you're on the course select screen and you see the original 48 maps, and then you hit the shoulder button and it's like, how about these 48 maps?
Yeah, right.
How about an entirely new game's worth of content? Now, granted, it is all remastered content. It is all from Mario Kart's back catalog or from in active development ancillary Mario Kart titles.
Yeah, as far as I'm
still
aware,
really exciting though.
There's not going to be any new maps.
No,
they're not in content development mode. They're in content porting, remastering mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good decision. It helps extend the life of their most popular game on the Switch. Like, it's just a good idea, and it does mean that we get more time with these mechanics, more time away from them being brand new, so that when we do get something new, it feels even more special. I think, I expect Nintendo to come out with a new Mario Kart pretty close to the launch of their next system, because I reckon they saw how well it did with this one, and they're like, we're never not launching a console
without one,
not following up with a Mario Kart game within the next 12 months. We're never not going to do that again. It is always going to happen like that in the future.
Yep.
It's just it's an unstoppable juggernaut at this point. It's amazing. Jeremy, speaking of
unstoppable juggernauts.
Unstoppable juggernauts. Speaking of young Kerry's ancient memories.
Yeah.
Why did that have to rhyme so well? I've been playing Final Fantasy X, and so the reason why is because it was the best comfort food when I was sick last weekend.
Fair enough.
And I was just on the couch, and like, I thought, on the Saturday, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna rest. That was when it really hit me, that Friday, Saturday. Like, I'm just gonna rest, and then I was thinking going into the Sunday, like, oh, I'm gonna get up, make sure I shower, get dressed, have breakfast on time, do the dishes, cook some dinner, and then I can sit down to rest for the rest of the day. And that Sunday, I got up, showered, and I'm like, fuck, that's it. That's all I'm good for. I'm done. That's it for me. That's me done for the day. I was just too unwell to be able to push through comfortably. And so I just sat down on the couch, and I took a picture of my phone of my projector wall where the game was, and sent the picture to my brother saying, this is how I'm spending my weekend. And he was like, oh, where are you up to? What are you up to? I sent him a picture of the sphere grid, and he immediately knew what I was playing. That's the upgrade system in 10.
Okay.
And it was just perfect soul food. And part of, I think what really prompted me to do it was there was a Final Fantasy X speedrun done at the last GDQ, which was a cutscene skip speedrun. It cuts more than... It's quite interesting, actually, because like the same run done with cutscenes is more than twice as long than this like cutscene mod, like skip all cutscenes mod is. So it's a 4-hour run without any cutscenes, and then it's like a 10-hour run with them. But watching that was interesting because I was like, oh, this is cool, and I get to see the strats and how they break certain characters and make them super powerful really early. But it also had me going like, oh, these characters, this music, this visual design, and also I was doing some Final Fantasy work for work as well. So it's been a nice return. And I'm really appreciating this game, not just as an old favorite of mine, but just in terms of its quality as well, especially for its time. I was saying to Sam, it was really interesting. I've never played any of the previous Final Fantasy games before. 1 through 9 are complete blind spots to me. But for the last couple of weeks for work, I was going through a lot of footage of the previous games, like a lot of footage. And so I got to see the incremental increases in graphic fidelity and how they, what the leap was like from NES to SNES and from SNES to 3D and from PS1 to PS2. And so I could see more of its lineage now in Final Fantasy X, whereas it used to be that it was just this bombastic thing that I arrived in the middle of. I could be like, oh, this is a huge leap in quality here. This is taken from this game. The combat systems are a real departure from the previous entries, and that's really interesting with that context. But ultimately, I think it's a really special game. I think it's a really special JRPG in a way that, like, Final Fantasy games are beloved and they are special and they are so many people's, first gaming loves or biggest gaming loves or games of all time, But I think 10 is a really special case in terms of its themes, like, rather where it's, like, its setting. Like, how every Final Fantasy game, it's kind of crystals, steampunk, fantasy, or some mix all throughout of those three things.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, there's very little... Or like kind of futuristic, I guess. I guess that's the fourth thing. And it's kind of each one is kind of a blend of those things. 10 is, I would say, one of the most unique settings because it's the future that then met the apocalypse, and where, like, any city that grows too big is then destroyed by this machine, this monster. And so they can't use technology. This is a world that had technology and it is now forbidden. And so it's this beachy, like, very sort of Pacific, I don't know. It's an interesting vibe that you just don't see in games or in any other Final Fantasy games. It's so unique, and it comes through in the music. You find it in every location. I really dig this game. It's not perfect, and the characterization. There's so many times, like, there's some decent cutscenes. The laughing cutscene is infamous in this one, like, for being an example of bad acting, which it's not, because the whole point of them is they're laughing awkwardly because they're forcing it because they're trying to be happy.
I mean, it can be both.
It can be both. If you play that scene for another 30 seconds, then you hear them, like, laugh genuinely, and it's like, oh, because they find it funny, because they're laughing forcedly. Point being, like, that's a good scene of, like, character development between Tidus and Yuna. And there are other scenes where, like, we meet Sid. What?
Tidus.
I'm not saying that. That's how no one says it. It's either Tidus or Tidus.
Yeah, the second one.
Tidus, not Tidus.
Yeah, Tidus.
Between Tidus and Yuna. But there's this moment, right, where you meet Riku's dad, who is the Sid of this game.
Riku's in this game.
All right, stop it.
You
make me want to stop talking. Like, shut up. I don't want to hear about Kingdom Hearts. This is not the Kingdom Hearts time. Kingdom Hearts has had its turn this year.
It's the same thing.
This is just shush. So you meet Riku's dad. But it's such a moment of, like, oh yeah, that's my dad, and everyone just, like, moves on. Right. And, like, it's not a moment of character growth. Like, they haven't figured out, like, proper storytelling yet. If you know what I mean. Like, it's the first game that's fully voice acted. And, like, that's a moment that maybe warrants a bit of character time, a bit of, like, oh, Riku, I've missed you. I haven't seen you in so long. You've done so well in your mission to protect Yuna, but now they're after her. Like, there's none of that. It's just like, that's my dad.
Not since Destiny Island. Riku. Look, it's their fault for naming the same character. Naming different characters the same thing, and such a unique same thing. It'd be like having another Cloud.
I would argue it's your fault for bringing it up, Jeremy, but that's another story.
Nah.
I did always think that was weird that they did name.
Well, because
they had Final Fantasy X characters in Kingdom Hearts, and then named one of the main Kingdom Hearts characters after one of the main Final Fantasy X characters.
But in Final Fantasy X, it's Rikku, right?
Yes.
Yeah, whereas in Kingdom Hearts, it's just Riku. Which is also
right.
yeah, it's also just a little bit. It's like I don't know, like what are they doing? I wonder if Riku means something like as a name.
Maybe
Like Sora means sky, right? Like I wonder if Riku has just like a meaning as a word. They do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud means cloud.
Oh, you brought me back around. Oh, fuck, that's funny. You activated my latent asthma.
Yeah,
oh god, that's
you fell for
funny.
my trap card.
Oh, anyway, I don't want to talk about Final Fantasy X anymore. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to walk into any more Kingdom Hearts traps. But that game's great. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to mention is I'm playing it like you're playing Bloodborne, Jeremy, which is with a guide.
Right.
The reason I'm doing this is because I played it the last time I played Final Fantasy X was 2013, 2014 on PS3. On the PS3 remaster. And I finished it and I was like, I could go for the platinum. I could do some of the endgame stuff, and looked up a guide for how to do that. And the very first thing you see in the guide is if you're playing the remaster / the Japanese version, which is what this is based on, make sure you get this optional item in the first 2 hours of the game, because you need this optional item to start leveling well in the end game, and you can't get it without beating this really, really difficult boss in the end game. And so I rock up and I'm like, did I get this? And turns out I didn't, and I just couldn't follow the guide because it was based upon getting this really strong weapon like 45, 60 hours ago that I never did.
Miyazaki.
It was not heartbreaking, but it was a very like, oh crap, what am I going to do? So I'm following that now, so I get those occasional like, hey, get this moments and not missing them.
Yeah.
I just got to let my cat out. She's waiting quite patiently by the door. So just 1 second.
I'm just going to talk through this whole... When you walk away, you won't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go simple and clean as the...
All right. That's enough out of you. Other things I've been playing this week, Jeremy. I've briefly revisited Spider-Man. I had to capture some footage for the game, and so I wanted to do that on the PS5 version of the game, the PS5 remaster. I didn't have that because I only bought Miles Morales.
and
so
the mess.
So to buy Spider-Man Remastered
hang on.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah. What's the goal?
I wanted to play the PS5 native version of Spider-Man Remastered on PS5.
What are the ingredients?
So to do that, I needed 3 different games. It being one of them. It being one of them first. So I needed to install Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5.
Why?
Which is fine. I've got a download speed that's fast enough.
Yeah, but
so I needed to download that because
why?
you can't buy the remaster in the store, because the remaster is only available as part of the Ultimate Edition of Spider-Man Miles Morales. You can only buy it as part of the bundle with that game.
That's shit.
You can't just buy the remaster, or you can't find the upgrade like store option through the store itself. You have to find it by pressing the button in the main menu of Spider-Man Miles Morales that takes you to the relevant store item.
Holy fuck.
So I download Miles Morales so I get the upgrade button so I can buy and download Spider-Man Remastered.
Sorry, I just don't want to get lost here. I'm just going to repeat something and you tell me this is correct. Okay? The Spider-Man Remastered, a PlayStation 5 version of a PS4 game, is available to buy on PC and not on PlayStation 5.
It is not available to directly buy on PlayStation 5.
But it is available to directly buy on PC.
Yes.
Cool.
For $95.
For $95, cool, great. Just wanted to quadruple check that you can indeed buy a PlayStation game on the PC, but not on the PlayStation. Got it. Cool.
That's That's right. Yes.
Really love this
Yep.
future that they've put themselves in. Sorry, continue on.
So I finally buy it, and then I start installing Spider-Man Remastered for PlayStation 5. And I think to myself, there was a bit of a stink when this game came out because it didn't have save transfer. You had to, when it came out, you couldn't use your old saves, and they added it about 3 weeks later. This really clunky transfer method,
Classic.
which is that you had to load up the PS4 version of the game, hover over the save, hit upload save data, and you can only do this for one save file at a time, and I had a couple. So then once you've uploaded it, you close the PS4 version, you open the PS5 version, you hit download, and then it transfers that one. So then if you have multiples, you have to go back to PS4, upload it, back to PS5, download it. I had 3 or 4, so back to upload, back to download, back to upload, back to download.
I didn't realize that Shigeru Miyamoto was in charge of the online functionality of the Sony Spider-Man games.
Yeah, it was silly. It ended up being not too big a deal that I needed the PS4 version because I did need footage of that as well. But also, it was hilarious. It was very funny.
That's not a user case scenario.
No, it's not. If my download if I wasn't paying for a better download like I am, this would have been a serious bloody problem. Each of these games is 60, 80, 90 gigabytes each.
Yeah, you didn't have, for example, your PS4 anymore, even though the PS4 save was on cloud saves.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
What do you mean?
If you don't have your PS4 console anymore. Oh wait, no. You can backwards compatible and then upload. Right. Okay. I wouldn't be able to do that because I don't have enough storage on my console currently to have 2 instances of Spider-Man.
Yes, I did have to clear a couple of things out. I did finally have to uninstall Final Fantasy VII Remake, so that's going to have to come back at some point. But yes, I did have to make room.
That's fucking shit. That is funny, that is really bad. That is like,
it is bad. What
the fuck are they doing over there? What are they doing?
I think they've solved a lot of that since then. These
it's
were
still the
launch.
same.
No, it's better than that. This was a problem that was very common with games that came out in the first year of the console. I don't think we haven't had issues like this since Intergrade came out, I want to say last June. A lot of other games are either cross-platform and you get the PS4 or PS5 version, or
why have they not just been able to think where you can just pull your PS4 save?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the same thing. Just have it downloaded into the... And you can't even buy the game separately. You had to upgrade your Miles Morales?
That's the biggest issue to me.
That's
the
also
thing that's
fucked.
so strange. It's very, very strange. Like I'm not super upset. I honestly just find it funny. But
it's so dumb.
It's not good.
If you don't own Miles, you can't get the new version of the game.
Yeah, basically.
That's so stupid. Why would they not just sell the game that they made? As, a game. What the fuck are they doing over there? This should not be that difficult. This is... they solved this with the PS4. They're creating issues. This was... I didn't hear about this issue once in at all on the PS4.
That's because it didn't have backwards compatibility.
No, but when I owned Flower on the PS3 and I got a PS4 version or Journey, I got it. They just gave me the PS4 version of the game. There was no buy it again to get the new version of the game that we're also not selling. I just don't understand why it's so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. It's bad.
It's really bad.
It's funny though.
It's funny until you have to deal with it though.
No, I dealt with it and I found it funny.
Right. What I'm saying is I wouldn't find this funny.
Clearly. Evidently. That's not the whole reason I brought it up though, Jeremy. Did you know this game is fucking gorgeous?
Yeah, it's good. I've played the remastered version.
It's amazing, Jeremy. Like, especially with like performance RT mode where you're getting the ray trace reflections and the 60 frames per second. Oh my God. I was blown away playing this again. And it had me thinking back to Miles Morales and how I enjoyed it and how I didn't really enjoy it at times in the same way. And I wanted to put it on a Spider-Man fatigue feeling, right? Like, oh, I played the main game a couple of times, so I got to Miles and it was a bit less special because I played it so much and it wasn't that different. No, I don't think that's the case. I think that first game is actually just a bit more special than Miles is. There's something of the way it's paced, the way it's made, it is more enjoyable. All I did was play the first few missions, right?
Yeah.
And I was having so much fun sitting there going, am I about to play this whole thing again? Meanwhile, I haven't finished my platinum playthrough for Miles. Even though it was sitting there, I look at it and I'm like, I'll get to it. Yeah. Meanwhile, I look at Remaster after playing it for 30 minutes and I'm like, ooh, maybe I play it again. Maybe. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. If anyone hasn't played Spider-Man or you haven't played it in a while, I'm not going to say if you haven't played it in a while, but if you haven't played it before and you have access to Spider-Man Remastered, fucking play it. It is so good.
Yeah.
So good. And then last thing, finally, I've just been playing a bit more Battlefield 2042. I don't have much to say about it, just that I had fun. I had fun playing it.
Okay.
And I wasn't expecting that. Based on my initial impressions back in November when it was kind of disappointing, and based on the critical reception, coming back to it, I've been enjoying my time with it, honestly. I've been really happy with what I've been playing. The new maps are fun. The way they've... I don't know. Part of it, my computer's been upgraded since then. Maybe it's performing better for me or something along those lines. But it kind of... I don't know. I don't know what it was about the initial... I don't think they've changed that much since its release. There's like bug fixes and stuff like that. They've made it more compatible, but not stuff that I had issues with. I had issues with some of the map design and gun feel and how it felt a bit underbaked here and underbaked overall. Yeah, but I'm coming into it at the moment and I'm like, maybe I play more of this all night. So that's just a little check-in. I didn't want to say much more than that, but it's an interesting thing to look at there.
Weird thing.
It is a weird thing. Poor Battlefield. There's players playing it. Helps that it's crossplay too.
Yeah, right.
We're going to go on a break now, and when we come back, we are going to be talking about the best Nintendo DS games. So hang around, everyone. We'll see you in a minute when we're right back. Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. We are here to talk about the best Nintendo DS games. During the break, we had a lovely moment of show and tell of relics that we managed to find in our nearby vicinity. Jeremy, were you at the ready with that particular chime, or shall we show ours together? We both found our DSs.
Let's do it together. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, you meant the on.
Yeah, yeah, the chime.
Yeah, nice. They're both turned on. It's amazing.
Mine has full battery, apparently.
Mine's dying. I turned it on a few times. This light's going to go red in a minute. But I've got my launch model DS here. I did manage to find it. My day one launch DS, which I think has the superior design with its sort of angular metallic kind of look. It's not metal, but it kind of looks like it might be metal.
Disagree.
And you've got the DS Lite.
I have the famous classic DS Lite.
The one you said breaks the same in every place on every DS Lite.
Yes, every single DS Lite breaks in the corner, which then stops the latch from catching. So it's just floppy. It's a wonderful
Jeremy,
console.
did your DS Lite come with the little lanyard that had the little finger nub on the end? The little hard plastic finger
nub.
bump.
I can't quite see what finger bump. Hang on, sorry. I was looking at the monitor.
Here, let me show it to you on the camera there.
Yes.
You have to wrap this around your finger, and it's this little plastic dome that goes on the end of your fingertip. And then you're meant to use that as the stylus. It's like a stylus finger condom.
I don't know, only because if that was the case, I never did that.
No, like I remember doing it very rarely. It was how you meant to. It's sort of those things where it's like it's one of those launch things, right? Like how on the PS5 they just gave up on like accolades, like player accolades. It's like we put this in for the launch because people like. But turns out this is garbage and no one wants it, so let's just stop pretending. So my DS, which is called Stanislaus, it turns out, which I think is based on a character's name from a book I was reading at some point. It's gone red, so the battery's gonna go.
Nice.
But also it doesn't recognize a DS card or Game Boy Game Pack inserted, and it has both of them inserted right now. So this poor thing, I think, it's definitely on the outs. I do remember that, actually, now that I've seen it. Meanwhile, Jeremy's page, you've written on it in the Victor chat. What have you said? Hello, Minimap. That's so good. So we had a great time during the break. We were showing off our game cases and our game cartridge holders, and Jeremy was showing off his I
have an Extendo DS stylus that got longer,
telescopic,
and it's just not that much. Like it's just not very long.
Yep. So we had a really good time doing show and tell during the break. If you weren't here live on Twitch to watch, you could probably find the VOD for a couple of weeks. That's there. That was honestly a really fun show and tell. Also got my 3DS out. We also talked about how you can't find carry bags for consoles these days. That was a good time.
Could you imagine a carry bag console for the PS5 or the Xbox Series X?
The PS5 or even like the original Xbox One?
Yeah, yep.
Where do you put the console and then the brick for the console, let alone controllers and games?
Yep. Even the PS4 Pro was quite large in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was. We've just moved away from it. It's fascinating. If I was myself, if I was my 9-year-old, let's say my 10-year-old self today, so I'm living between two houses as my parents have split up, and I'm taking my consoles with me every 3 or 4 days. I'm packing them up and I'm bringing them with me, at least one console. I don't know what I'd be doing with probably a PlayStation 4, right? Like, what would I be doing with that thing? This thing would be as big as my torso. I don't know. The PS5 is literally as big as my torso.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about carry bags. We're here to talk about the Nintendo DS. This is a
developer system.
A developer system, as in developer friendly?
No, that's what the DS stands for.
Oh.
Really? Yes, that's what Nintendo said. It's called the Nintendo Developer System.
So the 3DS was obviously only for 3 developers.
Yes. That's what it was. That's what it was originally called.
Then what does the Wii stand for?
Woo.
The Wii stands for woo.
And then there's the woo you.
Woo you.
Yeah.
This is a storied system. We were looking through. I was looking through some top 5, top 10, top 25, top 50 lists, just to sort of refresh myself on what some of the best games were on this system. It had a wide range of offerings in terms of, you had your Pokemon games, you had your spin-offs like Mystery Dungeon and what was the other one? Conquest that I saw.
Ranger,
yep. And then you had like Picross 3D. You had Trauma Center.
There was Monster
visual
Hunter
novels.
on there.
Monster
Professor
Hunter,
Layton.
the Zelda games. There was a lot of crap, but like a lot
Brain
of
Training.
some mature stuff. Brain Training, obviously. Yep. A bunch of games were missing from those top 10 lists. I would say it was a bit like, you kind of there are games here I feel like are not being represented. When looking at these lists, I had a bit of a realization, and I was thinking about the time I spent with my DS, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, I played it. I played my DS a bunch. I really liked playing on my DS, and I'm trying to come up with a list of games so I can whittle it down to like best games that I enjoyed. And really what I ended up making was the games that Kerry played on the DS, because my list of games that I ever played on it wasn't really any bigger than a top 3 list with honorable mentions, which I found really surprising and shocking.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this list, I'm like, oh my God, I just didn't play that many of them. Now, it's not that surprising when you consider that I didn't have a flash card for my DS. I didn't have a way to get ROMs onto it. I didn't ever emulate it on the computer. I've played probably more Game Boy Advance games through emulation than I ever played DS games. Yeah, this is my flash card.
My TTDS, which was one of the 2 flash cards I had for the DS. I also had an Ace card, and then for the 3DS I got the R4 3DS something.
I should have done that. I kind of wish I had. It seemed so mysterious at the time, though. I didn't know anyone who had done that with my friend group, and I didn't know how to look it up.
Yeah, one of my friends.
I knew it was illegal.
Yeah. One of my friends' dads got it for me, and then we found there was like some shop that would sell.
There was always a shop that would they'd chip your Xbox.
Yeah,
you know, they'd always chip your Xbox, whatever the hell that meant.
And I used to go in and I would ask for it, and they'd be like, okay, and it was like a 3-week wait because they had to get it shipped from the States, and then it was like, and I was like, can I play games on this? And they're like, we can't tell you that, like legally, otherwise Nintendo will sue us. And
8-year-old Jeremy is like, what?
Yeah, it's like, I don't, like, just tell me, like, I just like,
yeah.
And the answer was like,
yeah, just. Yeah, so strange, isn't it? So, Jeremy, how many DS games had you played, realistically?
Probably about 30. A bunch.
Cool.
Like, and like, you know, some of those were like, so one of my friend's dads used to just pirate DS games all the time. Like, every time a new game came out, like, it was like, yep, just load it on the card. And so I used to go over there maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks. And I used to bring my DS to give to my friend's dad to say, like, hey, can you put some new games on there? And so he would just like drag all onto the chip and just go nuts.
Like replace what was already there and add what wasn't.
No, like he never, like, it was, the chips were big enough that you could store so many fucking games on that thing. Like, you could probably put like 70 games at least on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have a ton of games which I didn't really have much interest in, but I would just play once because it was there. And so I got to play a bunch of games that I never would have played, like the Monster Hunter game on DS, or I got to... This is where my love of Picross came from. That's one of my games on this list. It's also where I found out games like the Mario and Bowser's Story, whatever it is, the one that was basically
Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah, that's the one. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which was a Lemmings game.
Lemmings,
kinda. You had little Marios that would walk around and they would do things, and you had to tons of stuff like that. Random ass games that I don't even remember now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. It's where the very first time I modded games, I think probably would have even actually been there. I thought it was Halo, but it might have actually been there.
Yeah, I was never really a big game modder ever. So
big head
I
mode.
didn't really have that. Pardon?
Big head mode.
That's a cheat. That's different than a mod.
Well, the games were modded is the thing. Like
Right,
it was mods that you could then upload as cheats and then toggle.
Right, I see. The one of my first honorable mention of games from my list was a game that I was only able to play from like like a friend of a friend who I was hanging out with one time in the summer at some point. And they had their chip. They had their DS with a flash card on it. They chipped their DS, whatever the hell that means. Chipped. Put a chip in me. And they were playing Elite Beat Agents, if you've ever seen that. If you haven't, it's a rhythm game where it's kind of this anime style. It's pretty over the top, but what it is there's three like agents on the bottom screen, and they're dancing to stuff, and there's numbered dots. It goes like 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever, and there'll be different colors and they'll pop up at different times, and you have to press them in order. And then one of them you have to like hold and drag across the screen, and there's a lot of like feedback, and so it's actually quite tactile and fun and silly, and the dancing is ridiculous, and the top screen animation is kind of like a WarioWare like cutscene. Like it's all very over the top, but it was a really, really fun rhythm game, and the music was quite good. That was my own experience with that, but that was a game I played like 30, 40 minutes of, like 15 years ago, and I still remember it fondly whenever I think about the DS. So it's an honorable mention because I hardly played it, but it might have been my favorite DS game if I ever owned it myself. Like, I was always very, very fond of it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this, basically.
I think the people who played it think of it fondly. Like, people, they're always like, oh yeah, Elite Beat Agents, yeah. But it's kind of, it's not a secret, but it has been forgotten to time. It never really got a sequel. It's never come to any other consoles, never made it to any other formats. But the people who played it really liked it.
Yeah, right. That's fun.
It mustn't have done too well because it never went anywhere. But
well, they went on. I think it's the same people that went on to make Rhythm Heaven and a couple of the other of those type of games.
Okay,
I think it's the same people. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it is. Which Rhythm Heaven was great.
I've heard good things about Rhythm Heaven. Sam played that and loved it.
One of mine.
What's your honorable mention, Jeremy?
My honorable mention. My honorable mention is kind of weird. I've got a game that this is a bad game.
Okay.
It's called Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
Is this the Bioware game?
This is the Bioware game.
You remember when we played the soundtrack of this on air a few months ago?
Let's listen in really quick. Let's just see what it sounds like.
I don't think I'm going to be able to hear
it. Oh yeah, you're not going to hear it. It's bad.
That's all right. I believe you.
Oh, it's not good. This is...
I didn't realize this was a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, right? You know, Sonic.
No wonder BioWare made it.
Yeah. I don't know if this game is... This game is apparently very bad. Like, this is like a very poorly reviewed game. No one really likes it. People call it like one of the worst Sonic games, which is saying something. People call it one of the worst BioWare games. It's like, but that being said, I played this at an age where I didn't know what bad games were yet.
Totally.
So I played the fuck out of this game. Like, so much. Look at the overworld, right? Like, and there's Chow Garden stuff as well. There was so many chows you could do in this game.
You could do so many chows.
Mm-hmm.
This looks so bad.
Yeah, like the game is just...
You can't tell where to go.
Well, because the ground is a flat image. And it's just the 3D animated Sonic that you walk around and you had a party. That's how they got away with Ocarina of Time, was by having the more complicated scenes like the Market Town. That was a 2D image. Yeah. It's what Final Fantasy VII did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is I don't think this is a very good game, but I fucking loved it. I was so good at this game. First BioWare game I ever played.
Did you finish it?
I don't think so. I remember it being not a short game.
So there's something interesting that I just want to touch on very briefly. When you were younger and you started playing games by yourself, did you ever finish them?
Yeah, no, I did.
But like, how old were you when you finished your first game? Do you think?
When I got my PS2 and I finished Ratchet and Clank.
Okay.
Like I finished Kingdom Hearts as a kid. Like that game is long.
That is long. Like because I started playing games when I was really young, like 3, 4. And so I definitely wasn't finishing games around then. I was usually watching games or playing when someone else wasn't. And so when I wanted to play something, it was usually the games that my brother was already playing, right?
Yeah.
And so like I never beat Pokemon Stadium because that was actually kind of really difficult. I never beat Pokemon Yellow, but that's only because my save corrupted and deleted, which was heartbreaking. I never beat Ocarina of Time until I was an adult. You know, it's stuff like that I'm just I sit there and think like I did beat Ratchet and Clank.
Lego games?
I don't think that game's well designed for it, but earlier games when I was younger, it just didn't happen for me. I remember thinking it was a big deal when I actually got to beat a game, especially by myself.
A lot of the games I played when I was young didn't really have like endings. Some of them were like just racing games, and it was like, well, what do you do? Like you just race around forever.
Totally. Like, and same with Pokemon Stadium, right? Like a lot of that is just battles.
Yes. Yeah, so it's like I think if you were playing those games with an end, like you would go and beat them. But it like some of the games.
Ocarina of Time was too hard for me as a kid. Honestly.
Well, yeah, like Ocarina of Time is like that's a challenging game for a youngin.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't recommend that game to kids. I would recommend that game to like someone who's maybe 10.
Yeah, a 10-year-old and above. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What's next, Gary?
What's next? My other honorable mention is another game that I don't own but did play and do like. It is Mario Kart DS. That game ruled, right? Like it was great, especially when you consider that you could just play on download play.
Was it?
And it had the DS battle map.
Was it the first 3D Mario Kart?
I don't. When did Double Dash come out? Let me have a look.
Ooh,
Mario Kart.
You might be right there, Kerry.
Because the DS came out in 2004. Double Dash came out 2003. So 2003 came out first.
Okay.
And then it would have been Mario Kart DS, which Google tells me came out in 2005 in Japan.
Well, actually, when was Mario Kart? Yeah, when was Mario Kart 64? Was that one completely 3D?
No, that one wasn't. Courses were, but all of the characters were sprites.
That's right.
So when they go flat, they go flat on screen. All the characters and the shells and stuff like that, they were sprites, but the courses were all 3D. So yeah, that was an interesting mix. It's funny when you go back and look at that stuff. Like Final Fantasy X even had screens where it was just a pre-rendered, drawn background with like the 3D characters running around. But yeah, the DS version had so many great maps.
Yep.
And the battle mode was great. You could play it with over download play, so you could play with friends who didn't have the game.
Thing.
Yeah, it had great remaster tracks from the originals, from like the SNES and stuff like that. Like, it was a really good game. It's kind of... I never played Double Dash. Double Dash was kind of beyond me, and I don't know, I didn't really need it on GameCube. But this kind of feels like... Yeah, Double Dash was cool, but my next big Mario Kart game after this was Mario Kart Wii, which I absolutely adored to pieces. I think that game's fantastic. And this kind of feels like the original, like the proto version of that. Yeah, looking back at it now. There's no like bikes or doing jumps off, like doing flips off jumps or anything like that. But like the way the courses are set out and the design and stuff like that, it's kind of like the start of modern Mario Kart in my head.
Yes. Yep.
It's very honorable mention.
Yeah. My other honorable mention, Kerry. My weight loss coach on the DS. Made by Ubisoft. Now I'm gonna preface this by saying like this is not a game that I really played, but my mum bought it because she wanted to lose weight on the Nintendo DS. And what was hilarious about this is it came with a pedometer that fit into the GBA cartridge. Had a battery
so you meant to put your DS in your pocket.
No, you're meant to take the pedometer with you, use it, and then you bring it back to the game. This is back when
Did your
Ubisoft
mother
were
do
all
this?
in. No, she never did.
Wow.
Yeah, she literally never once used it.
Wow. Did you ever use it?
I played the game part of it like twice.
Okay.
Where I sat in my house and I just shook the pedometer until I needed to get what I needed to get to. And then shoved it back in the console.
Oh, this thing looks so strange.
Yeah.
It's got like a dust cover for the cartridge port.
Yeah.
Because I guess you're going to sweat on it.
Yeah, I mostly just wanted to shout out that, like, you know, the DS had a lot of fucking wacky.
Pre GFC, like we're heading into peak bloatware territory. Heading into the
Guitar Hero DS.
I do remember Guitar Hero DS and it had the
buttons on the side.
It had the thing you put in the GBA slot that had the 4 buttons, so you had to like claw grip hold the DS,
and you strum with the touch screen. Yeah,
that's right. So there's no feedback. Like you don't feel any feedback because it's just a stylus on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watch. There's someone who I watch who's very good at Guitar Hero, and they're like, "Oh, I played." You know, they've done a Guitar Hero DS video, and they're like, "Oh, this is absolutely it's actually painful and not fun."
Yeah. Yep.
That was another one I saw, and I was like, I don't know about that one. I don't know if I'm going to go in for that one.
All right.
My last honorable mention that I didn't get video footage for, but I did get Advance Wars on DS, which was good fun. I'm not really... A game I never finished because it was really hard, and I was the only one playing it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That game was cool. Advance Wars is great. I'm excited to see the reboot camp.
When that comes out.
Yeah.
If that comes out.
If it comes out. Shall we go into our top threes?
Yeah, go for it.
My top third is Super Mario 64 DS. It's funny that I'm saying that because it's on none of the top lists for DS games. I don't think people liked this. It should be. This game's fantastic. I think they are wrong, Jeremy.
This is the best version of this game.
No, well, Jeremy, the problem with this game is that you have to use the D-pad or the touchscreen to control the characters. There's no analog stick, which makes it quite hard.
It's not the fault of the hardware. Sorry, that's not the fault of the game. It's the fault of the hardware. It's limited as a product of its time. The left and right buttons were the camera controls.
They were, and like you had to hold the run button like it was like an NES version of Mario Brothers. Like, I don't know. This game was made to not only show off 3D graphics on the N64, but also show off the analog stick. This is just not possible with this game. But this is the game that I played the most when I got the DS. It's the version of Super Mario 64 that I've played the most.
Same. Maybe not at this point anymore, but this is the one I am like. This is my guy.
And like you look at it, it looks fantastic.
Looks
like
so
the
good.
Quality of the 3D assets, even just the coins and
animation
the hats that you pick up. Yeah, like it's on a like 180p screen or whatever. But like the quality of the assets that you're looking at, I remember thinking when I got this, and this is when I was trying to understand like graphics and why each one was better and why I should be excited as a 8-year-old being influenced by consumerism, right? But I'm looking at this stuff and it was always like, oh, this is 16-bit and this is 32-bit and the N64 is 64-bit, and I'm like, oh wow, right? But like whatever that means to a baby. Yeah. But looking at this was like, games look like this on the 64, but they can look even better on the DS, and it's portable.
Yeah,
like,
right?
It was amazing. And I feel that way. I felt and think that way again when you look at the 3DS port of Ocarina of Time. Like, the quality of the assets in that game is absolutely unreal, especially if you, like, mod it and get, like, a 4K texture pack on PC. If you emulate it, like, that looks amazing. Point being, though, this was a really cool way to play this game. And they added so many stars. They added 30 stars.
And, you know, this is also on my list, so I'm jumping in a little bit.
Oh, great. Yeah, let's go for
it. You can play as Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Yoshi. Sorry, not Bowser. Wario and Yoshi. You can, like, there are hidden courses inside of, like, a bunch of other things as well. There's tons of hidden, like, little mini games. You can swap between characters in between level, like inside the same level if you find their hat on a Goomba. Yep. There were a bunch of mini games as well. Do you remember like all of the different...
mini games were best in class. They were absolutely outstanding. I mean, some of them were just like parlor games. Some of them were just card games.
Yes.
All of Ouija's. But also, I played a lot of Texas Hold'em through that and really enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Like, it's actually pretty fun.
This is what I'm saying.
But also like the Wanted game where you've got to pick out the face in the crowd.
Yes.
The Yoshi game where you've got to press on the grid of squares to flip them over to make the design you see on the top screen in enough moves. Like the trampoline games where Mario's jumping down, he's got to bounce on the things. The one you got to like bridge the circuits so the face goes to the right. Oh, there were so many really, really, really fun mini games. I could spend entire afternoons just in that mini game collection.
Yep.
Best in class. It was so good that they put the same mini games with only a few additions in other Mario games, and people were still excited.
Yeah, they put some of those in Odyssey even.
What?
The put the face parts. Oh no, that might have been.
That wasn't on the DS, was it?
Sorry, it was, but that's a Mario Party game that I'm thinking of.
Right. That is a very Mario Party thing. Yes.
Yeah. This is the version that they should have come out with when they did the Mario All Stars. They should have
All Stars. Yeah.
They should have released redid this version of the game, but they just decided they didn't want to do any work.
Honestly, I think they should have done both. I think they should have done the very minimal work that they did for the N64 version, and then modernized this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It should have been. They should have done literally anything.
Do you remember when I told you that remember when they patched like speedrun tricks in the All Stars version of the 64 game?
Do you remember when the All Stars version
backwards long jump up the stairs?
Do you remember when the All Stars version launched with Mario Sunshine with inverted cameras for some reason?
Yeah, and you couldn't change it.
Yeah.
That's actually playing PS2 games through the PlayStation Plus collection. That's actually a problem of the era. Like, games don't know what to call different camera orientations.
They have no idea.
Like, I was playing Bayonetta the other day, which isn't that old, but it's still relatively old. And I had the correct way for the camera, for me, I play with Y inverted. So up is down and down is up, but left is left and right is right.
Yep.
So only need the Y-axis inverted. What they call that in Bayonetta is that's inverted X-axis and normal Y-axis.
So did you know, Kerry, what the Y-axis is not standardized?
I mean, clearly. I mean, it is now in games, but
no, it's not.
Sure as hell didn't used to be.
No, it is not.
It is.
So did you know, Kerry, in the Unreal Engine, Y is not that?
What do you mean?
Y is not up down. That's Z, I believe.
Oh, that's different. That's different.
Across
whether the axis is called a different different axes are labeled under a different name is one thing, but figuring out whether you invert the up and down axis or not is up is up and down is down.
But for example, I know how to use Unity, and I went into Unreal and dragging those objects across one axis did the other thing. Bad. Anyway.
Yes. This game's fantastic. It's a classic. They added a bunch of cool shit. I think purists aren't happy with it, but that's not me. I was a 9-year-old kid, and this was fantastic. What a value offering.
I'm 100% with you there.
And what a strong launch for, again, maybe not 18-year-olds at the time who'd already played and loved the original, but for a 9-year-old, perfect. Absolutely pitch perfect. This game ruled. Where was it on your list, Jeremy?
I think also third.
I don't know.
I didn't actually order my list, but I think because I just don't actually have an order for them. They're all just three top tier games. Speaking of top tier games,
the Sinnoh
Pokemon games.
That's Gen 4 Pokemon. That's Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Jeremy's favorite Platinum, which I wish I played but definitely hadn't.
So what we're looking at here on video, if you're watching, is specifically Platinum gameplay, because this is the distorted world. This was part of the new edition content for Pokemon Platinum.
This is cool.
Dude, look how cool this is.
Whoa!
Yeah, right. This is what I mean when I say I can't believe they didn't fucking remaster this version of the game.
This character just ran sideways.
There's depth puzzles.
This is
it's
really cool.
Fucking cool as hell. Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Pearl for me, Pokemon Diamond for Kerry. These were just some of the best Pokemon games.
Yeah, they really were. It was a really exciting bunch of new Pokemon.
Yep.
But also,
3D included, but like it was a really great mix of the 2D and 3D. Really good pixel art, great music, cool story, cool legendaries, cool villains as well. With Team Galactic. Just the fucking vibes are on in this game.
They really are. Jeremy, this was a game, I don't know if I've told this story before, but a friend of mine, this game came out, like 2006? And a friend of mine was going to the States with their family. And this was back when games were so much more expensive here than they were in other territories. And you could go and buy the US copy for just cheaper and then come back to Australia with it and have saved like $40. And so my friend was like, I think it came out earlier there too. And so they're like, when we go there, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is going to come out. If you give me the US amount of money for it, I can buy you the one you want. And when I come back, you can have it early and for cheaper. And so we did that. And that was amazing. We never ended up doing any play. I don't think he ended up playing Pearl that much. But like playing this was so good. There was a time when we had family over at our house, and there was a bathroom upstairs, and it shares a wall with my mum's bedroom, and mum was letting my cousin and her partner stay in there. It was late at night, people were going to bed, and I'd been playing this game, and I had the battle music stuck in my head, and I was like singing this song while I was brushing my teeth and getting ready for bed, and I was like swinging towels around or something. I was being a little boisterous, and I opened the door, and Mum's standing there, and she's like, "Shut up! You're being so rude." I'm like, "What? I didn't think I was being that loud." And Mum's like, "Everyone can hear you singing this song. What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, sorry."
That's so funny.
And then I went to bed and I played more Pokemon.
Yeah, this was the first mainline Pokemon game I got into, and it was like, oh my god, just like falling into this world. I remember like not knowing really how to use HMs correctly, and I remember getting lost on Mount Coronet over and over and over and over again, and the guidebooks, and like just like being terrible at this game. But it felt so huge. It felt massive.
Yeah, it did. And the different types that they added, like, at least between the first and second games, like having ice and going to a snow area, like that was really cool. And the introduction of Dragon, I think that was in this version, maybe not. I get confused on when different things came out, because I was less familiar with versions 2 and 3. I played Yellow, dabbled with Gen 3, and then really got into this. So I get stuck on which things were added where. But the new stuff that was in this was so great. And also, like, the Grand Underground, like digging for rocks and picking away at them on the touch screen.
Building a base.
That was so fun. That was actually one of my favorite things to do in the remake. I didn't finish the remake, but
neither did I.
That was one of my favorite things to do there, especially because you could find anyway. I let my stepbrother borrow this game, and then I never saw it again, so I had to buy it again. And then I did beat it when I bought it again years later. Right. But this is another one where I didn't beat it when I originally had it. I didn't beat Yellow, I didn't beat Diamond, not till much later.
Yeah, I beat this one. I did get through it in the end. I had to get help, but I did. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's strange how these like kids games, like I don't know, like I say we didn't beat them, and then we like, oh, Nintendo games are too easy these days, and it's like, oh, I wasn't beating these games till I was 15. Like maybe they should be easier.
Yeah, but they're forced easier now.
Yeah, it is very.
You can't make it harder.
True. That's true. Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything specifically with Platinum, Jeremy?
Oh, it's just like I think it's the best Pokemon game. I think it's a tie between that Heart Gold, Soul Silver,
right,
and Emerald are very close just after it. Yeah, I just can't believe they haven't fucking remastered the good versions of those games. It just doesn't
just the
fucking make any
inferior
sense.
ones.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm jumping in.
What's your next one? Because we just did both together.
Picross 3D, baby.
Picross 3D. I did see this on a list somewhere, and I was like, this would have been cool if I thought to play that when I was that young. This looks very complicated.
It is complicated because it is Picross, which is nanograms, but it is 3D. So you have an X and a Y, like sliders that go in and out. So you can get inside the cubes because you've got to chip away on the inside as well. It's like it's like getting a brick and then turning it into a statue. You are doing what is essentially 3D sculpting.
Sculpting, yeah.
Yes.
It kind of looks, the way it's presented almost looks like Minesweeper.
Kinda, a little bit. Yeah, it was just fucking really cool. There was so many awesome puzzles in it, and it was just really well put together, and it was such a fucking cool game. I don't really have a whole lot to say aside from like it's great 3D Picross.
Yeah, this looks like this would have been fantastic for a kid.
It was so good. It was such a fucking fun game.
Man, I remember being a kid.
Yeah, man.
That shit wasn't bad.
What do you got?
My last thing here is Nintendogs. I actually did well, no, I won't say that. I actually did the sucker thing, and I ended up getting 2 different versions of these, one of which I can't find now. My Labrador and Friends, I'm not sure where it is, but I love this game. I love this game a lot. I played this game a lot. And I think that's my takeaway from this. When, I was saying how surprised I was when I had only played this many games. I played a lot of these games. A lot of the games that I've got here, I played a lot.
Yeah, right.
I played a lot of Pokemon Diamond. I played a lot of Super Mario 64. I played a lot of Nintendogs. Like getting to the max agility trials with a bunch of my dogs, and going on really long walks, and knowing how to do all of it for all of the dogs at once, and trying to get the best house for there was like millions of dollars, but this was really fun. And like, I don't think I wasn't ever like I don't sit here and remember my dog's name and think about that one walk we went on, and like I didn't really associate it with it that way where I had like dogs. But the tasks that they gave, like the washing and the teaching tricks and the going to the store and finding items and finding gifts and giving gifts to friends and then selling them, or it was an upgraded frisbee, or like all that stuff, that kind of progressive churn was actually really rewarding for me. I don't know what it just was, and giving them food, and I don't know, I just liked it.
Yeah,
it was a hooky loop.
Yeah, yes.
But I don't think it was bad.
No, I similarly had one, but like I did treat it like a dog. I think because I wanted a dog and we couldn't get one at that time.
I see. I think I only got this after I had one.
Yeah, because I'd never had a dog at this point, and so I was like, oh my god, I can have my own dog. And so I had Lucky the Labrador with a Luigi hat.
Yeah, the hats.
Yeah, you used to put hats on them. And Yeah, I remember being really frustrated at this game a lot because the voice commands never fucking worked.
Oh, I gave up on those really quickly. Like, I figured out that they were bad and was just like, okay, I'm out.
I tried to get them to work for such a long time because for a long time this was the only game I had on the DS.
Right. And you wanted this to be your pet. Yeah. I gave up on it. I was like, no, this is not fun. Yes, I could see why you would have been upset.
Oh, like that because I still loved the game. I had so much fun taking it on walks and doing all of the like you said, all like the agility courses and all that stuff. It was so fucking fun.
Remember when did you ever get the dogs like agile enough that you could like pull on their lead as you're going for a walk and they'd fucking sprint and jump and run and just go for miles while you were going for the walk? That was so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I really liked Nintendogs. It's probably my most played game on the DS. But it's a bit of a guess at this point. This has got me. This is the nostalgia is so intertwined with the introduction of the Wii era in this.
Right.
Like, it's so closely entwined. I'm immediately starting to think of Mario Galaxy and Twilight Princess and Boom Blocks. When we were looking at Picross 3D, I was thinking of Boom Blocks. So, yeah. Fond memories.
Now...
Was that... Was that it? Are we done?
No, I've got one more.
Okay, great.
And it's not Blue Rescue Team.
Okay, it's not Pokemon Mystery Dungeon like it would be if June was here.
Only because we've spoken about that game quite a lot. And
it would be there, but we've spoken about it, so you're not talking about it?
It's hard to say. I don't know. It would have been in my top 5 if I hadn't spoken about it at great length in the past. I don't know over what, but I've decided.
Speaking about it has lessened it in your mind.
No. It's more about that. Like I can only say the same thing so many times.
Okay.
That I need to talk about the Phantom Hourglass.
Okay. Legend of Zelda: Phantom Hourglass.
This, I think, was the first Zelda game I ever played.
Interesting.
I said in the break, and I'm going to say it again to once again get Kerry's reaction to it, that it's the best 3D Zelda game.
Oh, I don't.
You want to know why?
You like being so wrong.
You want to know why, Kerry? Because it's closer to a 2D Zelda game than any of the other 3D Zelda games.
Keep laughing, chucklehead.
This game is fucking really good. It's like a really cool story. It's kind of like it's a bit it's a little bit Wind Waker-y. You know, you've got a boat.
Definitely Wind Waker-y.
And you go on all through different things. Obviously, it's Toon Link. It's the Toon Link timeline. But it's still got that like Zelda item grabbing, Zelda dungeoning, Zelda-ing. That all of the really good ones have, you know, it's like you go to this temple, you go to then you come back later with the items and all that stuff, right? But it like the way this game functioned was like you are like using maps with the touchpad. You're like Kerry was talking before about one of the things that put him off was that you had to control Link with the touchpad.
Yeah, and I was used to controlling Mario with the touchpad in 64 DS, and that was bad. And so I just didn't want to do that. I was like, oh, the hook for this game was you do everything on the touchpad. You walk, you attack, you draw on the map, you talk to people this way. I'm like, nah, I'm out.
The difference was that the bottom screen was where Link is.
Yep.
Whereas for Mario 64, it was the top screen.
That's true. Yep.
And so you are guiding him around because your stylus is Na'vi, and he's following Na'vi all the way through. Which is really cute.
I'm sorry. I don't think this is necessarily wrong because I don't think this has ever been said in canon. But you say Na'vi like from Avatar, like the Na'vi.
You know what Na'vi is?
Yeah, a fairy.
Yeah, but do you know
Link's
what
fairy.
Do you know what that word is?
From in what Japanese?
No, it's navigation.
Oh,
that's what that is.
Not originally, not in the 3D version. Surely not.
No, like as in like the internally Navi is navigation or navigator.
Oh, that's weird.
That's where the word comes from.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
And you can also like you draw little circles at the edge of the map, and he like would do like a dash roll or anything. It's really cool. It's a really fucking cool game. The ship stuff was really sick as well. You can like change your ship and get different items on it. Similar to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Kerry, if you've ever played that one. Similar to Skull and Bone, if you will.
Phantom Hourglass did it first.
Yeah, this is a game that they should bring to the Switch. This is a game that they should look at, give it like a brand new they should give this the Link Between Worlds treatment to pay honors to Link to the Past.
Link Between Worlds?
Yeah,
so you want them to do like a Phantom Hourglass?
Yes. Like wholesale, this game could use like a redo. Like you don't need to control it via the Switch touchpad, for example. You don't need that. But as a game, it functions exceptionally well.
Okay.
It's like a genuinely really awesome game. So
okay, great. That's cool. It's good to hear that.
So plus also like this world, like they should do more Toon Link stuff. But like we're getting so few Zelda games now. Remember we used to get one every like 2.5 years?
Yeah, that's true.
We get one every like 7 now.
Yeah. Oh, we got Link's Awakening remake.
Yeah, like we get remakes, but like, remember it was like just another fucking Zelda, another Zelda, Four Swords, Story of Seasons,
I don't know if that was necessarily the best thing for the franchise.
But like they were still making the mainline ones at the same time.
Yeah, but I don't know if these ones were that great. Like I don't know if we need more of these.
No, but Toon Link is such an awesome design. The Toon Zelda world is really cool. They can do some like experimentation Zelda games because so that's how they used to test mechanics to then put in the real games. It's like the Metal Gear Solid fucking Peace Walker
VR missions. Peace Walker, yeah, before going into 5. Okay. I get it. I kind of enjoy having a game of substance every time, like rather than like I had the Oracle of Ages or Seasons. No, it was Ages. I had the Oracle of Ages game on Game Boy Color. And that game was hard for a 8-year-old, I guess I was when I got that. So hard I never finished it. But like it also just didn't it wasn't what I loved about Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker. Those games were different. They weren't what I loved about the series.
Sure, but I think having both I think is like great though, right? Because it's like look, these games still exist. They are death's door. But it's like it's having the excitement of it being a small little Zelda game was like, I think one of my concerns is that like from here on out, every Zelda game we're going to have is going to be fucking huge and it's all going to be Breath of the Wild.
I think they will be happy to experiment again after Breath of the Wild 2. I think there are things that they wanted to put in the original Breath of the Wild that they couldn't, and they had the drive and the reason to make another one pretty quickly.
And that's obviously like gonna work out for them. But like I want them to be able to do the weird, neat little ones.
I think we'll get something different. like Breath of the Wild, like Zelda games haven't been the same from entry to entry since Ocarina of Time. You know, we went Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword was interesting. That was more trying to take care of tech necessities of trying to engage on the vision that was set by the Wii of having motion controlled Link.
Yeah.
And
One-to-one sword action.
And it was fun, although a lot of people didn't think so. Yeah, it's interesting. I like after Breath of the Wild 2, it's amazing they're doing a sequel. They haven't done that in. I mean, this is the most sequelized kind of Zelda game we've seen. But since Majora's Mask was the last time we got a mainline Zelda series game that was a sequel to the last one. I think they'll do something different after Breath of the Wild. I don't think you need to worry about that.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah,
I know.
I reckon they will.
I know, like they're putting a lot of eggs in that Breath of the Wild basket. You know, like they've got the Age of Calamity and the. Yeah, I hope that they keep doing those because, like, you know, the Link Between Worlds was just a 10 out of 10 game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda. I want them to keep doing those ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, you draw the boomerang.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. This game's so cool.
So the DS overall.
So cool.
It's one of the best selling systems of all time.
It is a so cool console.
It really is. Download Play and PictoChat.
Yep.
It was a really fun console and it had really great games and it was very exciting to be a young kid when that console came out. It was really fun.
Yeah. And it was durable as all hell. You know, while my DS is like
all right,
cracked,
Mr. Hinge.
No, but like while it's cracked, I turn that thing on and it has got full battery.
Yeah, that's wild. Mine, I knew when it said it was green, I'm like, no, you're not. And sure enough, it went red within 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a console. What a trip down memory lane.
The Nintendo Developer System.
Yeah, sure. That's about it from us, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I really enjoyed talking about the DS. I hope we do this again with like the Wii and the PS2. Obviously, it won't be for a while. We like to spread out and sprinkle these sorts of things, you know, as they go. But I look forward to our next nostalgic look back. Like I said at the beginning of the show, next week we're going to be talking about the Metaverse. We're going to be going into Jeremy's deep dive. There he goes. He's going in right now into his Oculus Quest 2. How does it smell, Jeremy?
Kind of latexy, only because I haven't used this one as nearly as much as I have yours.
Yeah, nearly as much as the one behind me that I bought off you the one behind me when I bought off you when you bought that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like so really quick, I went to set this up the other day and I realized I haven't done VR on my PC.
Yep.
Since I wiped my drive, and so I had to re-download all the VR stuff. Fucking Oculus software.
Yeah.
Nearly broke this episode of recording.
It did. Yeah, you were.
It's 10 gig.
It's so big, isn't it? I remember doing that the first time. It's like their home environment. Like they're like
it's on the fucking headset. The home environment is stored. Yeah, I know. When I run Oculus Home, it's got a run thing up, but I don't want to run Oculus Home. I don't have a Rift.
Yeah, but you need to install that whole kit for your computer to think that it's an Oculus headset plugged in through a cable for it to use wirelessly, even although it thinks it's wired through the virtual desktop software.
It's fucking so stupid.
Yeah, once you got it set up, it works great. But yeah, it is strange that you have to install not just it feels like you have to install their entire SDK and also their example like development room. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want this.
Yes, I do not.
Please
want this
make this an option. So make sure you watch out for that one. We'll be here next week for that. Thinking about maybe filming in a different location. We'll see what the realities of that one are like closer to the day, but be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know when we're recording whether it's worth definitely checking out the video feed of that one.
It's going to take so much work to get that to work.
So yeah, don't forget to follow our socials at MiniMapAU on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch at MiniMapAU. You can follow us individually as well. We're both on Twitter. Jeremy, where are you on Twitter?
At Obi-Wan
I am there at KJPalmer_24. I love it when I remember my Twitter handle. It is a bit of a crapshoot sometimes. You can also head to minimap.com.au to find absolutely everything else Minimap related. For those of you that are live with us on Twitch, stick around. We're going to hang out on chat for the post show. For those of you listening later on a podcast service or on YouTube, please, if you could, give us a positive rating on this episode on your podcast service of choice. A 5-star rating or a tick or a plus, whatever it is. It means a lot to us. It helps us out a lot. And if you've got the time and the inclination, you can also join us live. Lastly, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you can support us on Patreon. If you wanted to support us monetarily, if you want to help keep the mics and lights on, you can do that by going to patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 AUD, that's Australian dollars, you can ask us questions to answer on the podcast, all while helping us out and keeping things running smoothly. That's about it from us, everyone. This will be up by the end of the week of the 15th of August. What'll that be? The Friday is going to be the 19th. And then the one was out 2 weeks before that. But yeah, we should be here next week with our Metaverse of Madness deep dive, helmed by our captain, Jeremy Bratatich. Blonde Jeremy Bratatich. Wait, no. Next week it'll be Frosted Tips Jeremy Bratatich.
Maybe. It also might just be bald Jeremy Bratatich, depending on how much I like that look.
Agent Bratatich.
Oh, I am gonna draw a barcode on the back of my head if that happens.
Please draw it without any rulers. So it's just a really
Sharpie.
crappily drawn, non-straight lines. Like they cross over each other at some point.
I cannot begin to tell you the bit potential for my bald era.
Bald era.
There's Krillin.
Your Bruce Willis era is coming.
There's Walter White.
Yeah.
Yep. There's like you said, there's Agent 47, Professor X. You
could be Jesse from Breaking Bad. They've just brought that up.
I could be Jesse.
Lex
Luthor.
Yeah, Lex Luthor. I was gonna say, oh, which one? You could, and then I was like, oh, wait, no, that one's no, not that one.
Yeah, not that one. I'll be the John Cryer Lex Luthor.
I don't know who that is.
John Cryer is John from 2.5 Men, the one that wasn't Charlie Sheen. He plays Lex Luthor in the fucking Supergirl show.
Does he really?
Yes, he does.
Good for him.
Yeah.
What's the half man doing? Jeremy, press the buttons. Get us out of here.
Jake Lloyd spoke to me on Twitter once.
From the Phantom Menace?
No, sorry. I think his name's Angus something, not Jake Lloyd. Sorry, Angus something. Angus Taylor,
the half man.
Angus Lloyd. I don't know. The half man.
Probably
from
not
2.5 Men.
Probably not a good term for anyone.
I mean, he was
the kid from 2.5 Men.
Yeah. I spoke to him on Twitter once. I think now he's
like
a really evangelical, like religious kind of guy now.
Wow. You think that was like a whiplash result from being around Charlie Sheen?
He denounced the show as like a sinful show at some point while he was still on it. Like it was like a whole thing. And then continued to be on it for like...
We need to... Jeremy, press the buttons. We need to do this in the post show. I need to see this.
Yeah, it was like a whole... But he was on there for seasons after.
Oh, that's fascinating. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.